Before we jump in today's episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about the costumes that we are wearing. Not only is it that time of the season with Halloween, so we want to do something a little bit special, but also we wanted to weave in our Enneagram types, which we talk about throughout the episode. If you can figure out which Enneagram type we are, leave a comment down below or shout us out. Guess what?
What's up?
I just took a personality test. I know, they're like the best thing ever, right? And I learned so much about myself that I feel like I know so much about myself. I don't have to learn anything about anybody else. You know, I got all the answers.
You know, I think you should take a little bit of a gamble on other people and understanding them. But don't worry, I'll swoop in and show you the way. While we have Makayla French and Nicole Koubek with us today as we discuss understanding ourselves, understanding others, and how that can really create a beautiful environment for collaboration and community.
I guess it's time to up the ante, right?
Up that ante, baby.
Yeah. Well, find your purpose,
find your people,
and find your place.
Welcome back to the Principal Choice Podcast. Today we have Makayla French and Nicole Koubek with us today as we discuss the importance of understanding us and others and how to build a beautiful, cohesive, and collaborative team. Thank you so much for joining us today, Makayla and Nicole. We really appreciate you coming on to talk about the importance of learning about your team, understanding them, and how that can really strengthen the team and the connection we have with them. So we know that we have a variety of different personalities and different types of people all coming together and kind of being set into a team. Maybe not by choice, like on who they're picking. And that can be hard to navigate those personalities and wanting to make sure that everybody is feeling heard and seen and that we can uplift them. What are some ways that you would suggest be a way to bridge that gap between those personalities and between those different types of people?
I can go ahead and take this one. So some things that I've done in the past with my team specifically is I really try to connect at that personal level more and less on those one-on-ones. I send them all about you right off the get-go coming out of orientation, so I know just the small things about them, like what are your goals in 5 years? How can I help you get there? What's your favorite color? What are like some of those really like just small nuanced things that end up meaning a lot down the road. But that also helps me get some of those, like I have multiple readers on my team and maybe I can bridge that gap by having all those readers and doing a book club like I have been doing. And so it's kind of really just being personal and then finding those nuances and being able to utilize those nuances in a team setting where everybody kind of feels comfortable, and you're also giving them the opportunity to let you know how they like to receive praise. I feel like that's a huge one, is you could really rub somebody the wrong way if you praise them publicly and they're like, whoa, 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 no, thank you. And so that's also something that I have within the get to know you as well, is really being able to understand at least a little bit about them, and then kind of in those first initial meetings, we're just getting to know each other. Production is not my top priority. I don't want to say that I'm not worried about it per se, but it's not the top priority by any means, because it's more important for me to support the person versus to do the other and really look at the metrics. So in the beginning, it's really important just to get to know them as a person.
100%.
Absolutely.
I like that a lot. And where you brought it back to knowing them as a person first, I think that's one thing that a lot of people that are put in leadership roles that have to manage certain expectations and statistics and things like that, it's easy to jump to that right away versus saying, like, you know what, like, who are you? What's your favorite color? Or any of the questions, like, I like the how do you receive praise? That's a big one. When it goes beyond the short icebreakers and it gets into more of the growth aspect of figuring out who you are and who you want to become or where you want to go, what are some strategies that you've recommended or that you've used in the past to really start that movement for somebody or help them understand who they are?
For me, I think it's self-awareness. I think once I understand myself, which has taken years and lots of reading and, learning the hard way sometimes. But once I've learned myself, then I know how I'm going to respond and react to someone else that may have, a different way of doing things. Not wrong, but just kind of helping identify their thought patterns. So I think not only my self-awareness, but helping them build their self-awareness as well, because it's like a puzzle. The team is a puzzle, and if you have 3 or 4 pieces missing, and you're focused right on those pieces that are missing, right, and they're the ones that aren't contributing to the overall puzzle. So I think it's really identifying those that really need help, kind of understanding themselves.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's really important to know yourself first before you start to pull it out of others, because you don't even know what you're doing. You don't even know who you are. You don't even know how you could help get that out of somebody else. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I have been doing a lot of self-reflection and my own self-work over the last few years. And it's very interesting because you realize how much you change when you're doing that as well. And so these core things that I thought were me, and that's the only thing that I can be, are being broken and shattered. And it's not bad. It just means I'm changing and evolving into someone new in this. It's like, this is the new me era, if you will, right? It's just a little bit of a different era of Milena. And I love that because it helps, people grow and understand themselves. However, I know that it can be kind of tricky when you're helping others navigate that. And I know it's not the easiest, and some things can kind of fall through the wayside, or other times it's like a 180 and they're doing fantastic. So when someone is going through that and kind of doing that self-reflection and wanting to grow, and you've noticed a lot of different changes, what are some ways that you help support them through that?
I start by being curious. I ask the questions. Hey, is anything going on? Is everything okay? I try in the very beginning to do that personal relationship so they feel at least semi-comfortable to be a little bit more vulnerable in those positions of, hey, no, something's not right now. I can tell you at least a little bit just so you have an understanding of what's going on. And so being curious it gives me the opportunity to, one, continue to build that personal relationship, but also it gives me a better understanding of how I can support. If you are having a really hard time at home, or if there are, you're really having a really hard time with like, hey, I'm a terrible procrastinator. What are some things that maybe you've done or here are some things that I have done to be able to get over procrastinating as much. And so I offer advice, but I always want to lead with being curious, because I am a fixer and I love helping people and I love, trying to fix things for people. But it's one of those things that I've learned throughout the years that you can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. And so that's why I've kind of changed even myself and my approach in being curious first, because I don't want to sit here spinning my wheels giving you all of this information and, being this person for you, and it's just falling to the wayside. So I lead by being curious. Do you feel comfortable telling me what's going on? And then I, go into the questions of, what do you want to do? And if you have no idea, okay, let's look at your passions. And so I've looked at passions before, and I've actually, helped a couple of my amazing associates go from being a rep to a corporate role in something that they're passionate about. And those were due to those conversations of, hey, I'm having a hard time with myself. I don't know what I want to do next, but I really don't want to be doing what I'm doing now. Okay, great. Let's look at our different options here. And that was the conversation was led by me just being curious of what was going on.
I like that a lot. I've really tried hard to start practicing that more recently, because I've kind of had the same mindset of you of like, oh, there's a problem here. Let's fix it. What can we do to fix it? What can we do for this? How can it be better? Versus like, what's going on? I want to hear it from you instead of making these assumptions of how we can fix things and all of that. There's that learning piece there that you really have to have in order to give someone the tools or help them or guide them to the tools to improving whatever they want to. Now, shift the gears a little bit. When it comes to more like small groups or putting people together to work together, whether it's an individual setting, a one-on-one setting, or in a small group or a big group, what are some strategies or things that you've done to help get people in that group to find the right fits, to find the right placements based on personality types and things of that nature? Or how important is it?
So one thing that I've done in the past is I set up kind of, if you remember, old school pen pals. So setting up a chat between two people that may not normally work together or even be on the same team, but get to know each other. And that networking piece is really important because that's how you learn each other's strengths and challenges and you build upon those. And our ELP program is, a very good example of how we put small groups together, and those groups work together for a year and then create a capstone project in the end. And it's very interesting to get their feedback throughout the year. And we're going to start at some point looking at their Enneagram results and start partnering up putting the groups together based on their Enneagram type so we can get a good mix.
Love it.
I absolutely love the idea of calling it pen pal. First of all, blown away, like as simple as it is. And that's really what it is. It's, you don't know these two people meeting, here you go. It's wild, but it's so simple, but it's so refreshing to think of it that way. And it kind of puts a spin where it doesn't feel quite as scary, saying like, I don't know these people. And now I have to reach out. Like, I know I'm an anxious person. I would probably like have to pump myself up to talk to people that I don't know for like at least a good couple minutes before I'm like, just hit send, you can do it, So I think having that in a refreshing and polite way too of like, it's pen pal, it's something that you've known, you know how it goes. It's not scary. It definitely opens that door up for sure. And I want to dive a little bit into kind of what you were talking about with the Enneagrams. So I know that that's supposed to help us understand us so we can then understand others better. Can you get a little bit into the weeds of that and how that looks and what the benefit of knowing that is?
Yeah, of course. We've been working very, very hard on some content. So you're going to be able to understand yourself better, like you said, and you're going to maybe see things that you are subconsciously doing or doing on autopilot that pertains to your type. Particularly, I'm a type 1, I'm a perfectionist. Some of those things is one of the things that I didn't really notice I did is I always found the one thing that was wrong. And I would point that out initially. That would be the first thing that I'd find. That'd be the first thing that I pointed out. And I didn't realize I was doing it because that was my autopilot mode. And so now that I've been able to really digest, my type and understand it and see, a lot of the one characteristics do fit, I'm able to, not point that out and be aware of that. And that's kind of what we want to do. We want you to be able, or everybody within PCS, not just you, to be able to understand like how they show up at work and how that affects others at work. There are some maybe challenging types that you don't necessarily realize that there is. Maybe there's a stressed relationship that you're trying to work so hard on and you just can't figure out what exactly is going on. Both people understanding their Enneagram types and maybe understanding how they show up and how they can show up for others is definitely going to help the communication and collaboration. Those are really the biggest two pieces that we're working on is the communication and collaboration. Part of that is going to be resolving conflict, hopefully a little bit faster, by knowing I show up very aggressive if I'm called out. And maybe if I feel I'm being called out by somebody, I'm gonna lash out. But then I'm able to take a step back and be like, okay, wait a second, they weren't calling me out. It's okay to be wrong, and those different types of things. And so I can subconsciously now do that. And so the biggest piece that we want everybody to be able to take away from it is know yourself better, because being able to know yourself is going to be the key to all of this, but also being able to have that piece of, okay, I know this person likes me to show up in this way. And you can do that with personalities and kind of feeling people out. It just takes a little bit longer. With the Enneagram, once you have that information for yourself and for others, you're going to be able to do it like right off the bat. And so it's going to be really nice to like, oh, I'm a 1, oh, you're a 3. We're going to get some stuff done because I'm going to make it perfect and you're going to get it done and it's going to be fantastic. Whereas like, a 1 and a 6. A 6 is going to look at me and be like, nope, this is wrong, this could go wrong, all those different things. And I'm going to be like, okay, let's make them perfect now. And so being able to dive into those different dynamics is going to be super big in that communication and collaboration. And so it's very exciting to get everybody to take the assessment and then be able to really integrate that learning and being able to really enhance that communication and collaboration.
Love it. Yeah, and I think with that too, you mentioned a few things there about bringing people together that like a 1 and a 3.
Mm-hmm.
You have the perfectionist that's like, we're going to make it perfect. Then we have the person that's going to go run and do it. And I think too, there's got to be probably a limit to that at some point. You know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe like these two groups don't work together as well. But when you're putting a small group together with 6, 7, 8, 9 people, maybe it's not always the best thing to have one of each type in a group. You might want to be like, okay, maybe we need a couple of this here and a couple of that there. Because there's a lot of things that go in and out of people's personalities. And we also can't be fully defined by a number.
Absolutely.
But it really does help. Even for me, like being an 8 is that challenger, knowing like, oh yeah, okay, I am very upfront, and if I'm not liking it, I'm speaking up. Like I'm not staying quiet. Yeah, she knows.
It's all good. I'm a one, so I'm just like, I'll be a nervous wreck until then. It's fine, just it's fine. It's just like
But it's really interesting to see how those things come together and how they play off of each other. What are some other valuable resources? Maybe not even personality type resources, but other ways that you can bring people together with different personalities in any workforce, in any job, in any personal situation. It's kind of a big one there, but
I think that you can have like, we work remotely, right? So that's a very big challenge in our environment. And I think having those team meetings where they're relaxed, you're not just simply talking about work, but you're kicking back, drinking some coffee, got your cat in your lap, whatever it is. But it's just a more relaxing environment to where people have that, ability to kind of share on a personal level. Because, change is one of the other key things, and change is inevitable, and we need to make that the new norm. And everybody's lives are changing. And so as those meetings happen, you can learn what different people are going through and help them adapt to whatever challenges they may be facing.
Yeah. And an important thing too, kind of touch on with Enneagram, but knowing how people react to change. That's a big one. Not how they only interact with each other, but, me and Makayla are going to react differently to a change than, me and Nicole or me and Melina. It's just kind of based on our personalities and how we run with it.
Yeah, I was going to joke saying Makayla and I will react exactly the same.
Exactly
you guys are both
same.
one.
It's going to be a copy. No, I'll probably be like, it's fine, sunshine and roses, but internally I'm dying. So I'll get this figured out. Don't worry, I have to be on. So that's the big thing for me. So I definitely get that. But it's true. It's finding out how those people are going to react, so that way you can have a constructive conversation with people and constructive collaboration, and it's not feeling jilted or pausing every 5 minutes going, okay, why is this not working, what's going on here, why are we still having this kind of the same conversation, how can we move past it? I think that's really, really important to do, and it's really tough. I guess with these personality tests, as time goes, would you suggest that folks should retake these after a certain amount of time just because of people kind of changing and adapting and maybe doing a little bit more self-assessment? Could that possibly change how they react to things, or is this kind of a good baseline for moving forward?
So there's a couple different ways I can go with that. One, most people understand that you are your core type regardless. So what you take initially is going to kind of be your core type through the entirety of your life. I can tell you, looking back now, I have been a 1 my entire life. However, I can tell you there are growth patterns and there's integration of numbers and different things like that as well. And so you have a growth arrow, you have a stress arrow, and you can definitely grow into your growth arrow for sure. Me 5 years ago would not be the same me that's showing up today than, And so I have definitely grown. As a 1, you grow into your 7, and your 7 is your enthusiast. And so they want to have fun. They want to get the most out of life. They want to, be the one that, rallies everybody, get everybody, the spirits up and things like that. And that wasn't me 5 years ago. And so I think that, yes, it could track your growth within your integration or even deintegration. Yep. But it is, you're always going to be your core type. Your 1 or your 8 or your 3 is always going to be who you are, like in your core. But it can definitely change. Not necessarily needing to take the assessment all over again. It could just be you reflecting. Okay, am I, moving more into these growth pieces, or am I seeing more of these stressed pieces?
Got it. I like that a lot. One thing I want to touch on really quick too was the stress pieces. When we first heard a little bit more about the Enneagram, we all were like, oh, I'm an 8. Nicole's a 3. Both of you are 1s. But there's that negative side to it, where you kind of show the characteristics of other things when you are in that stressed moment. And I think that's a valuable thing to try to understand as well. And also I feel like can bridge gaps with someone that's also a manager. I was like, oh, they're this number and that's how I am when I'm stressed. Yep, I 100% see it. I think that's why we click so well when I'm feeling stressed and they're feeling at their best, because it kind of just goes hand in hand. What are some other quick things that you could think of as like challenges that can come from someone diving into these personality types, really going into it? What are some challenges that you would have to really kind of coach somebody through?
So, for example, me being a 3, which is an achiever, which is why I have my pins on
You
here.
bling.
And also image is very important. So, but along with that, one of the words that came, that just hit me in the face when I was reading my report, my assessment, was deceitful. And it said that 3s are deceitful. And I was really taken back by that. And I'm thinking, everybody's going to think I'm unethical, that I'm not, telling the truth. And so I really had to step back and take a look at that. And for me, something that I've discovered is that for deceitful, it might mean that I'm working on this project and I really want it to be done by Friday. And so I'm going to say, yeah, it's going to be done by Friday. But in all reality, it's not going to be done till next Friday. So it's not a purposeful way of being deceitful, but it's my mind. Like the achiever, I want to get it done. And in my mind, I want it done as quickly as possible. So I think when you're reading your assessment, it is very important for you to, you're going to see some words in there that are kind of, hit you right in the face, and they're not going to feel so good. But step back, take a breath, give it some time, and really, talk with others.
Absolutely. I appreciate you saying that, because unfortunately, every single time I take one of these things and I read everything, I can't help but take it literally, what the word is literally means on the page. And I am like, but I know I'm not that. I know I'm not. So you're wrong. This is wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. And it's just like, oh, well, there's the 1 coming through, right? You're wrong. And I'm going to tell you you're wrong about it. And I'm like, oh, maybe I am a 1 after all. But it is very hard to hear those kind of negative things and figure out how that actually breaks down and what that actually looks like in real life. Like what you said, deceitful. You're deceiving yourself more than anything else in what you can do. And I know with 1s, it's we can be kind of nasty. They say that, be judgmental, if you will, in those aspects. And it's like, I'm not very judgmental. And then I'm like, oh no, I do, in the sense of like, that's not how I would have done it. And that's not a mean thing. And that's not a wrong thing. But it's like, but I want to do it my way, and I don't understand why you're doing it this way. And it's, oh, that's what that control looks like. That's what that kind of like not very flexible looks like. Because I'm like, I'm a flexible person. I work with teams. Look at what. And then I'm like, oh, no, that's what it's saying. And in certain aspects, I am just straight and rigid. So I really appreciate kind of that talk on things aren't always exactly as they seem on the page. It's not, it's just a guiding arrow to where you need to go.
100%.
Absolutely.
And just so you know, PCS has more ones than any other number. There's a lot of
No
ones
wonder
in
we're all
our
like, we all have to do it
organization.
right.
It has to be right and it has to be done now. Another thing I wanted to kind of add here is kind of like the risk of the assessment is I don't want anybody to feel like it's putting you in a box. You are not just a personality type. And I think that's a part that some people may have a little harder time with of like, I don't like personality tests. I don't like to be typed. I don't like this. It's the reason we went with the Enneagram specifically was because there is the good and the bad. There are the, hey, these are things that we need to work on through your core type, and these are things that, are, you're going to do great in, and these are the things that we can grow in. And I feel like it's one of those things that, like, if we start saying, oh, I'm a 1, a 5 might feel out of place, or a 3 might feel out of place. And so it's one of those things that you have to be very open-minded when it comes to the Enneagram assessment, not only reading it and understanding it completely and being like, no, oh yeah, no, I do that. But also being able to show up for the other types as well.
I like that a lot. Well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Makayla, for jumping
Thank
on
you.
with us to talk about, those personality types and what it takes to understand ourselves and the people that we work with, and how to best collaborate and communicate with each other, because it's always a challenge day to day. The more knowledge we have, the better off we usually are.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
So how'd that bet pan out for you?
Well, it was a big winner. Some would say a jackpot. I was really happy to learn more about not only about myself, but the importance of learning about others so we can create that collaborative environment and just make communication better. It really helps in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you really start to collaborate together, ideas and people, things just take flight, Things just keep going up.
They do.
The sky's the limit.
Lift off.
And please check out our show notes below and join us next time on the Principal Choice Podcast.
Find your
Find purpose, find your people, find your place.